Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John and I have a new album review. The name of the band is called Sunbomb and the album is called Evil and Divine. But before I begin, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. So Sunbomb, they are a new project with Michael Sweet of Stryper and Tracii Guns of LA Guns. Now, most of you know these two bands as these like hair metal bands from the 80s. You're probably expecting some like really like polished melodic rock, but no, this is not the case. This is a straightforward heavy metal band. They kind of describe themselves as a doom metal band, but I don't really think I would call them doom. I mean, there are some doom songs, but it's just really traditional heavy metal. I will be going over some of the songs, but their sound can range from like classic doom of like that Ronnie James Dio era of Black Sabbath, the speed metal of Painkiller by Judas Priest, or there's some like thrash metal in it, and there's even like an early Iron Maiden influence. You mix all that up with Michael Sweet on vocals. It sounds really good. He has a very powerful voice and it really fits this type of music. So for those of you who still listen to the band Stryper, you know that their most recent albums have been a lot heavier than their 80s material, and I will admit I was surprised like the first time I heard this. You know, usually bands release singles before they release the album, and a lot of times maybe like 4 or 5 songs are already out, but I usually try to force myself like not to listen to those songs, because when I listen to an album, you know, this is like what I used to do when I was growing up. I mean, when I put on an album, I want to just experience it just like from that time, and I don't really want to hear anything like before listening to the entire album, and that's what I did with this one. And I was actually surprised to hear what I heard. Like I said, it's very heavy, and let me talk about the songs. There are 11 songs with a runtime of 48 minutes. I'm not going to talk about all the songs, but I'll talk about like the first 6. So the first song is called Life, and my first impression, being that I was hearing the band for the first time, there was something like early like Queensryche. I mean, the riff reminded me a little of that. But the more I listened, the more I realized that this is just straightforward, just heavy metal. And dare I say it, even the guitar in the first section almost sounds like black metal, which is kind of ironic being that it is Michael Sweet singing. But Michael Sweet, like I said, he has a really great voice for this type of, you know, music. And the opening track is a really great one. The next song is called Take Me Away, and this one sounds like something from early Black Sabbath. You know, Michael Sweet, his voice is very powerful. It's like almost as like good as Ronnie James Dio. I'm not saying as good, but almost. The riffs are very heavy, and the song it's a slow pace, you know, but it's like a classic Black Sabbath song. But you know, wait until that 3-minute and 20-second mark and just listen to that riff. It sounds like something that would be played by Tony Iommi. It's just very Sabbathy, and it's a really great song, and this is like a doom metal song. The third song is called Better End, and the intro reminds me of God Is Dead by Black Sabbath, but the song actually does get very fast. It's heavy. There are a lot of like palm muted riffs in the verse section, and it is very reminiscent of like a typical like thrash metal band. The drumming is very fast, so it sounds very good. The riffs, they're very heavy, they're not very complex, but that makes them memorable. And there is a breakdown where the song does slow down and you do hear that intro riff again. I did enjoy that part, so this is a good song. The next song is called No Tomorrows, and this sounds like something that could have been from like the first Iron Maiden album. It has a very melodic riff. The song gets very slow and melodic. It does go into that like classic like Ronnie James Dio territory. And it almost like sounds like something from like an early like Rainbow album. They kind of like throw the sound back to almost like that like late 70s heavy metal. Really great song. I like this one a lot. The next one is called Born to Win, and the intro reminds you a lot of a Good Times, Bad Times by Led Zeppelin. Even the drums remind me of like the playing of like John Bonham, but this is not really a Led Zeppelin song. It just, you know, it switches up. It gets really heavy, has those like galloping riffs. Has some cool tempo changes. It even has almost like a punk rock vibe. It's a 3-minute song, but they do pack a lot into it. Next is the title track called Evil and Divine. It's a really heavy song. The verse riffs are very heavy and has that same like palm muted, like galloping sound that we hear a lot in heavy metal. The song is not too slow, not too fast. It moves at a good pace. Has some melodic guitar parts, and Michael Sweet's vocals do work very well with this type of song. And the next song and the last one I'll talk about is called Been Said and Done, and this is a power ballad. There are some acoustic guitars being strummed, and the chorus is memorable. It's just a typical heavy metal ballad or a power ballad like from like the 80s. It's not really as like polished and sappy as those old like Stryper ballads. I'm thinking of a song called like Honestly or Honesty or one of those songs. It's a little like darker, and it does have that like a melodic electric guitar solo. It's something like that you would expect from this type of song. Pretty decent song, and I did enjoy it a lot. And that's it. There are 4 more songs in the album, but I don't really need to talk about them in detail, so I can keep this video fairly at a decent length. The rest of the songs do sound like Black Sabbath meets Iron Maiden. But with that being said, I enjoy the album. My only complaint is that it is very derivative of other bands. But if you like that kind of thing, if it doesn't bother you, if you like classic heavy metal and you would like this album, it's enjoyable. As a final score, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I probably could have gone to a 9, but I'll give it an 8 just because of the lack of originality, but it is a really good traditional heavy metal album. So that is it. Coming up next, I'm going to be doing a new album by Miles Kennedy. Now that's an artist, first of all, I don't really know him that well. I wasn't planning on doing it, but I gave it one listen and it was kind of enjoyable. There was kind of like a lot of variety on that album. So I'll do that one tomorrow. Some 20-year anniversaries by Megadeth and Tool. So I'll do those probably Sunday and Monday. That's it. Please check out the in-video links. These are some of my latest releases, and I will see you in the next one.